because I love you. But I love Quake. We're getting into it. Map number 1, Season 3 begins right now between RAISY and RAISY on Insomnia. Let's go. Base with a quick rail right off the bat. And that position is what I was talking about earlier, Dan. I feel like that's going to be a very strong position for any player here. Here's another great rail from base. Yep. Almost gets another one. RAISY has to be careful right off the bat, taking big damage.
Yeah, and with those angles, we already know the rail is going to be such a critical weapon on this map, but RAISY is the one that's already got the high ground. Base got to be, well, got to be careful, actually using the air control nicely to skirt himself away from danger. RAISY obviously missing that first rail, but exchange from base, setting up over to try his choke point here. Picking up that heavy, and they do trade items once again.
Base just barely missing out on that rail here. Re-upping, though. And playing it nice and slow. Again, as we mentioned previously kind of off-stream, this plays a little bit like Blood Run. A lot of choke points, a lot of ability to catch your opponent and do big burst damage. So you do have to be careful running around corners, getting into these rooms. Base kind of has, in my opinion, the best position because you could take a look at Mega, you could deal damage, you could drop back to the heavy, but here we go. RAISY trying to make a play on it. A little bit of a dire orb flood, but the LG is actually going to bail him out here. His base has to drop down, hitting a rail in the spit with the rail combo. Almost gets it. Wow. Somehow, base turns that around, and RAISY is hurting right now, still taking spit damage. That's going to give him a GPS signal to him, but he misses with the rail, Dan.
I love that push so much because of the recognition from RAISY that base didn't have the rocket. He knew he could force the issue. Because you understand the damage output that's going to come out of there. You understand that base only has that lightning gun to defend himself with, and RAISY appreciated that, but the tables have turned. Base has the right weaponry now to make a defensive stand. Feels confident enough to push in for this item, but it's the wrong choice. It's RAISY rains down the paint from above, rail into the orb combo, and already we're seeing the power of the orb here with the Ranger, just having the ability to convert the frag. And now base is going to already be forced into a position where he has to make more moves.
Huge burst damage from RAISY. The LG denying the rocket jump up, so base doesn't even get the Mega. Now he's in a bad way. He's going to go down again right before the heavy. RAISY looking strong here, and the split between the items is going to let him just freely move his way back to the Mega. Base trying to defend that jump pad, which gets him access, but RAISY does have the dire orb and can potentially make the switch, but base actually wins out on this Mega.
Big engagement here by the rail. RAISY just bouncing around these pillars, but he will be going down. Thought he connected with more damage than he did right at the end. Either way, base pulling it back to a one-frag game. A bit higher tempo than I thought it would have been, and in the part, RAISY really want a forcing issue here. He knows once again that there isn't a lot of base has to work, and he does some decent damage, but not enough. And RAISY gets a clean pickup. Will skirt his way back onto this Mega. Big rocket coming out from base, but it's not going to be enough. Doesn't have the weapons again. Keeps coming in aggressively with the speed of the sword, and he's caught RAISY down below. High intense action on Insomnia.
And RAISY, his rockets are just missing the mark. We're used to seeing big chunky damage, and he's getting little 10 to 20 chip damages in. Good work with the machine gun here. That's going to push base off. He's going to concede.
Yeah, RAISY's not letting base stabilize at this point. Base, you can see, he's really trying desperately to claw his way back in and slow the tempo down, but RAISY is continuing to put that pressure on, unsettling base. Now he himself is in a better position here to begin to stabilize. There's a long time between the items, so that would give base a little bit of breathing room to get his weapons up. And that rail again will open the door for any sort of push to come up from base, and he's got the position on the high ground to take away this next heavy.
RAISY does grab a 25 to take at least another rail, but takes a little bit of damage, and he's back to being railable. Needs to be careful. There's a jump pad play. A little bit of a feint there from base. Again, just tempting RAISY to go for it. He will with the dire orb and gets away with it. He can't keep getting away with this, Dan. 4-2, good rail there from base. Nice. We're going to see base play a little more defensive here, and he might drop in on this next heavy now that he knows that he has RAISY kind of low. No rockets as well. That's really bad, but he might get floated. Base has to be careful here.
Hit a nice throw from above though, so that's given him more confidence to keep contesting for this heavy. Somehow none of the acid spit does anything to RAISY. He gets away, but eating that rail is pretty painful because it means base will just jump on him, and that was too aggressive from RAISY. Might even be able to convert on here as he spawned over by the light armor, but base does forfeit that, knowing he's not got a lot of stack himself. The chip damage from RAISY is crucial because it stops base from building a sufficient stack to keep the pressure up. So that's the one thing RAISY's been doing really well. Even though he's given up a few frags here and there, the return pressure has kept base on the back foot.
Absolutely agree. And we saw that positioning with the Dire Orb. He just took the Dire Orb, got that kind of godlike position up there, and just handled his business with an easy frag there on base. Maintaining this 2-frag lead for a little bit as we hit the halfway point. And now he has Dire Orb back again. So RAISY, knowing that the Dire Orb kind of makes the difference here as base, just dying to get any kind of position he can, playing against it, but the rail, RAISY will miss. He'll hit with a follow-up machine gun from base, trying to chip away as much as he can, putting the screws to RAISY, saying hit your shots or die, and there's the Dire Orb. It's a little bit too late, and base takes the frag. Wow.
I love the confidence, but it's one of those where if it doesn't work, it looks really bad. But nevertheless, RAISY once again right in the face of base, and he's in this mindset where he's unwilling to let Sorlag settle. He's unwilling to let Sorlag build any sort of sustainable stack, and that's why this pressure is so relentless. It helps that he has a stack advantage, sorry, should I say a score advantage until then, but that frag could be costly because now base has a little bit more time to pick this cleanly, get the health he needs, and then get across. If he does some damage on this Mega, it could actually be huge for base. He's trying to pressure it. RAISY hasn't picked it up, and he's taking a lot, but what?
Oh, that's the get off me Dire Orb right there, Dan. Oh boy.
I thought
RAISY takes this one back by force.
Yeah, I thought that was the perfect play from base. You know, he just timed to pressure RAISY off a bit, but there's a Ranger for you.
What a rail by base after missing 2 easier ones in my opinion. Then hits that one up the jump pad. Mega's going to be first, so base is going to make his way over, get that stack going hopefully as he is trailing by 1. 7 minutes in, and RAISY almost has the Dire Orb back. We saw him use it to snake the heavy away, and we saw it. Oh wow, rails exchange. We saw him use it to get the frag, so RAISY diversifying his bonds with the Dire Orb, Dan.
Yeah, and this game's been a bit awkward at times, you know, not as clinical as we would have seen in the latter stages of Season 2. I think it's a little bit of rust is showing at this point in time, as you mentioned, with some of these rails. You'd expect people to hit, but nevertheless, another big contest over by the Mega, and this time base does come out on top, but again, he's taken a lot of damage. So it will just be a matter of time until RAISY pushes in. This is why base is going to potentially slow it down a little bit, just to make sure he can preserve his stack. But as I say that, RAISY's caught him in the corridor here. Mano a mano, and base comes out on top, but at what cost? 44 health to his name.
4 health, does grab the heavy, extremely weak, can heal off this blood pool for a little bit, and that's exactly what he's going to do here. As RAISY almost had him dead to rights, the spit kind of bailing out base on there. Amazing LG from RAISY, but base has the lead with 8 minutes left, and what better way for base to kind of start playing defensive is that 1 frag lead, and he just goes into turret mode.
It's pretty much the first time all map we've have a bit of peace, a bit of silence. And as you said, this is now definitely favouring base. He snuck in and got a free heavy. Not sure if that was a mistiming from RAISY or if he just completely misread the positioning of base. But now he's also in position to steal away this Mega scot-free. Doesn't even need to use the spit as well. Then that is huge. This is base territory.
Base is firmly in control, but he does take a little bit of self-damage with the rocket jump, trying to deny all the items. And RAISY is able to hit a rail, but now it's returned from base, so that evens it out. A little bit of LG, and RAISY might go down here. He does have the spit, but he's not using it. His rail bowl, the Dire Orb doesn't work, but RAISY somehow connects at that rail to tie it at 7.
Oh my word. There is no way he should have got that frag, and as cleanly as he did. Look at the stack he's built. He's not taken any damage in any of those engagements. Whereas base, as you rightly pointed out, had taken away all of the items from RAISY. 7 to 7, 1 minute to go. Yeah, this is a good advertisement for Insomnia 40 straight off the bat.
Big LG misses with the rocket, but around the corner, the pillar play. RAISY able to take the 1 frag lead with less than 50 seconds, and you can't help but think why base didn't use the acid spit earlier, and there's a Dire Orb as well.
Slam dunk.
Oh, desperation plays coming out from base now as he rocket jumps to get the heavy, but he has 30 seconds to make 2 frags, and his movement flub, that's going to cost him, and now RAISY just has to play this game of plus back, which base is all too familiar with. Can he use Sorlag's movement to get across? He's wasting time trying to use that railgun. In 20 seconds, Dan, I think this may be done.
think you may be right, 40. He's just got to run away. Even if he gets a frag now, it's almost impossible to get that follow-up. And he will get a frag here, but he'll hopefully prove me right with the almost impossible. And with 3 seconds to go, it will be RAISY's game. And I think one of the defining factors of that particular map for me is that you could sense that the players had a very good understanding of the pathing and the routes of their opponent. It was quite predictable, and so it really came down to the clinicalness in these engagements, like who was hitting that first rail, who was hitting that opening rocket, because if you were missing that, that's when we saw the tide switch. And there were so many crazy moments, particularly from the side of RAISY with the clutch rails to finish off base. It was more a matter of execution than strategy that saw RAISY come out on top.
Yeah, I mean, the die roll coming up huge for RAISY, whether it be repositioning or just getting the slam dunk frag, as you mentioned. But base, what was super peculiar to me is the fight in heavy. He doesn't use the acid spit. I don't know whether it was still on cooldown or not, but he could have used that to his advantage and made RAISY bleed out. But RAISY hits a clutch rail on his way out, uses that momentum to just take the map by 1. Absolutely insane.
I'm 90% sure it was not on cooldown. He just was confident to take the frag, but this is what could happen in Quake Champions. The fight gets turned on its head and RAISY gets away, and you root your decisions. You want to protect the resources for future engagements, and it just doesn't work like that. Look at the dodge around the acid spit in there and the conversion. Absolutely pixel perfect. And it was really these engagements over that Mega where we saw all of the chaos happen.
And that play right there, I think RAISY was going for a cheeky telefrag because he was like, you know what, I'm a little low, let me just go for it. Doesn't work out. But this fight right here, no acid spit from base. Dire Orb doesn't go right, and then the fadeaway, RAISY somehow gets it, and just an incredible play, and that was really where it all went wrong for base after that.
Yeah. And the theme of RAISY, the strategy of RAISY was constant pressure. You cannot let Sorlag build that critical mass, build that overstack, because that's when she becomes incredibly difficult to pin down. He did have that respect for base and obviously the defensiveness that he can still if he gets to that point. And so that's why we saw these what might be seen as irrational pushes, particularly off the spawn, particularly when he's low. But the whole emphasis was just keep base low. He was willing to forfeit his life for that. And 8 to 9, you can't argue. It was a close game, but RAISY just pulls out on top.
Really, really good game there. And a fantastic, as you said, advert for Insomnia. Welcome to the map pool. And the name of the game was keeping Overstack away, and I think it's going to be the same going into map number 2 as we're going to see Galena versus DK, and RAISY has the DK, has to make sure that Overstack does not come into play for base, otherwise it's a nightmare against a Galena.
It is, but at the same time, base has to be a bit more respectful.
That flame strike.
Yeah, you haven't got the overstack of the Sorlag to work with, so... And you're going up someone with even more burst potential. We know base plays an amazing Galena, particularly on Veil, and it's often why it's banned out against him, but RAISY also plays a very, very scary Death Knight, so we'll have to see. I'm favouring RAISY, if I'm honest.
I think maybe with the burst potential, I think it might be RAISY, and RAISY just has this ability to make frags happen when they shouldn't. We've seen it on map number 1. We've seen it all throughout the history of Quake Pro League. I think it's going to be a little bit more of the same, but, base, very good defensively. Veil kind of plays that way in terms of especially the telly up to Mega, we'll see. But then again, RAISY can just rocket jump up and do whatever he wants with Flame Strike. So we'll see if it gets hot and heavy. I do hear the sounds of us loading in, Dan, so we are going to be in map number 2 shortly here as we take a look at the predictions. Who locked in what? Are you listening to Dan? Because he's kind of the man, Chad. It looks like the 59% for RAISY, so still fair play. I mean, base is a fantastic player. It's not a shoe-in for RAISY by any means, but they believe. They believe. They're going with you, Dan, on this one.
As they should.
Whatever you say, Dan, as we're going to get into Veil, map number 2 again. Best of 3 between base and RAISY for Quake Pro League Season 3, and we are live, and we are going to start out right on base here. As again, the Galena, the totem goes down immediately. He wants to build that overstack. RAISY just wants to get a good, clean flame strike, get that big bursty damage as soon as he can.
Yeah, overstack is obviously name of the game. Question is, will he be able to build it? Only a tribal to work with.
Just trying to chip away, only getting 11 damage on that one as the heavy will go. RAISY trying to make his way back. There's the flame strike, but actually null and void, but Base still doesn't have any weapons to really defend the position. He's going to drop down for rockets instead, and that's going to add a big delay to that Mega after that pickup.
Yeah, we know the power of Rail with a split like that means RAISY can control this whole map, understanding exactly the movement of Base, reading him like a book, and now Base is in a lot of trouble. As you said, there's already a huge split between the major items, and what can he do here? He's only got a rocket ready down below. It's super dangerous to even be in the vicinity, and he doesn't do any damage. This already is beginning to snowball out of control.
Yeah, this is danger territory already here as RAISY hits another rail around the corner, and he knows the items are up. He's just going to control the map, Dan. And another rail for Base. Another one here. Does he have a totem to fall back to? He does, but now those time vials give him away. Shotgun blast to the face, but the rockets are too strong from Base. That overstack, Dan.
There you go, and that's what you get for building it so quickly. A little bit arrogant, I would say, from RAISY to drop down there. He knew that Base could hear him. He knew exactly where Base was, but Base comes out on top this time and prevents the snowball from proceeding further.
That's the walk in the park that he thought as rails exchanged from players. Fantastic shot from RAISY there, kind of falling down that slow Base. Taking position, great rail. Again, the flame strike won't do any damage. The rocket will miss as RAISY pokes with the LG here. One more rail from Base, goes through, doesn't dodge the rocket. Straight to the chest from RAISY, and he's going to win out on that Mega and potentially this heavy, and he does. Full map control and a rail, Dan.
Yeah, but he's going to chase down his prey here. Base picks up the light, but it will cost him his life, and this time he doesn't do the damage he needs to prevent any further damage. However, the items have begin to merge, so that gives Base a little bit of a lifeline, and RAISY maybe mistiming because he could have gone out and pressured Base. He's now letting him get some free weapons, which is not what he needs. Nevertheless, he will be able to pick it up, work his way around to the Mega, sorry, to the Heavy, but Base is in the vicinity now. He knows the timing, and there you go. Great rocket jump across. He does eat a rail, but dodges the flame strike and gets out on top, so that's the best situation he could have hoped for.
Not bad at all. RAISY does take out the totems, hits a great rail. Base gets a rail of his own, knowing he has RAISY trapped. There's a 50 shard. Might come into play here, and Base is actually going to take his lead as he just wants to maintain Mega positioning. Good rockets, good rail. Can he get the frag? Good return rail from RAISY, and finally Base is like, I just need this item.
Yeah, but he's done the job. He worked the map better than RAISY, and whilst RAISY might be doing more damage, Base is actually playing the map better in terms of positioning and movement. That's why he won himself that frag, got himself back into this engagement.
Flame Strike's not really doing anything for RAISY right now.
He's using it more as a zoning mechanic, but it's not even being used that well in that regard, so definitely a factor he needs to improve on.
Oh, we hit him with the gauntlet around the corner, RAISY, you're insane!
Okay.
Oh, this boy, this man just did that.
Week 1, Season 3, and we're already seeing the disrespect.
Not missing a beat, and that was tactical. That wasn't disrespect. That was, I'm going to hit you with the flames, and then I'm just going to LG you down, and Base is wondering which one of y'all kicked me, because that was just such a good play around the corner. 3 frag lead for RAISY here. Mega in the pocket, going over to Heavy, might be a little bit too late, but does have Flame Strike and Rocket, so he's going to do big damage at the very least here. Space trying to fight his way out of this one, doesn't hit a rail, can't really hit the Rocket either. And 6-4. It's the RAISY show right now.
Bro, don't tell me that's tactical.
Well, whatever it was planned at the very least. We saw RAISY just stand there, and he's like, if he comes through here, he's going to get bopped, and bopped he got as another rail from RAISY.
Yeah, RAISY's feeling himself now, and as you said, like, that type of play shows you the headspace he's in. He understands this game in so much detail, and I'm still of the opinion Base is actually playing this map exceptionally well. Just RAISY, from a combat point of view, is playing it even better. So whilst Base strategically is making all the right choices, he just hasn't got in with the damage and the thought process of, how can I attack my opponent? That's where the wavelength RAISY's playing on is completely different.
I mean, you talk about damage, 1,000 points in favor of RAISY.
Right.
So it's pure damage, and again, keep in mind, the Flame Strike's not really doing a lot. So this is just pure play from RAISY. And heaven forbid the Flame Strike start hitting, because RAISY might be up 10-11-2 right now.
Exactly. So that is definitely credit to Base. But know, RAISY's looking on good form. There are some elements of, particularly his aim, that are still a bit rusty, but when it comes to the mind elements, the mental side of his game, he's still very sharp.
Very sharp indeed, as he does bully his way onto that Mega, doing an immense amount of damage. RAISY trying to grab the scraps. What a rail around the corner, but the rocket right in his pocket. RAISY is potentially going to get fragged here. There's the rockets. Can he land him? And he finally does, but look at all that damage he did, Dan.
Yeah, he did a lot of damage. Base is still keeping in this game, though. For all this credit we're giving RAISY, it's still 6-3. It feels like it's a lot bigger, but there you go from downtown. A big flame strike this time will force Base to retreat onto that Mega. It is the full utility of the item, though, so that's the perfect situation for Base now. He's in a great position to start wrangling back control, and RAISY will forfeit all potential damage here. Question is, how can Base find a way in that where he doesn't take too much damage? He knows the Flame Strike will be up soon, so he needs to be extremely wary of any of these close combat situations in any sort of choke point.
And this is just immaculate. Watching this read of the read of the read as RAISY is just kiting him around the map, and it's so good, Dan.
Both have great reads of themselves, and RAISY's taken the last minute and a half now. He's given up all the items, but he also hasn't been seen. He's a ghost in regards to Base, and that rocket basically brings them back to level playing field.
It is always amazing to see someone potentially, there's still time, but out defense Base. It's a taste of his own medicine kind of a thing, and it's always interesting to see, as he does have a totem that he can use in the middle of a fight here. He's going to try and hit this rail. That's a great start. Almost does get another one, and now RAISY in dire straits right now. He's going to jump out the window trying to get that 50 shard here, and Base is going to leave up the heavy. Gets another rail, and that shot is just so good.
Every one of those shots was so good. And
oh no!
As interesting as RAISY's defense is, and I say interesting because it's quite unorthodox. He takes these unusual positions where he just essentially hides in some aspect. He does some decent damage here or there. He didn't do enough pressure on the map, which is why we see such desperation coming out from him now, because Base is on the offense with full stack. And RAISY just cannot do anything. He can't get onto these major items. It's not even if Base is going out to put the pressure on to prevent it. RAISY is just forfeiting it. And it really could come back to haunt him, as there's still a long time in this map to get a comeback. Base, but again, has to be wary. He doesn't want to go into these choke points. He knows he has enough time to be methodical in his play.
That's exactly what he has to be to try and find RAISY and get at least 2 frags. And RAISY finally switching it up and just using that jump pad to get out of rail range. We've seen Base hit that rail so many times, and RAISY's like, no more. I'm just taking the jump pad, getting out of line of sight. Good rocket there to try and prevent Base from any kind of push, but the heavy is just right there waiting. And another good rocket. He drops down, though, and this is going to be an awkward fight. The flames are going to strike. Totem saves
that
his
was
life.
what he was so scared of, but he does time it well with the Mega to pull back on. No heavy up for a while, but he's caught RAISY midair, and this will be the conversion. He doesn't want to take any damage, and he doesn't. 10 seconds to go. RAISY has to make a play here. What spawn does he get? He gets the rockets.
Totem to the face.
Yeah, the
That's exactly what
45 seconds. There's nothing he can do except hide. There's no major items. There's nothing for him to work with. Question is, will Base guess right? He's heard him. He knows where he is. He'll probably take the jump pad back down. He's just going to wait around, and hopefully Base second guesses. He does delay, and that's cost him 10 seconds, 40. Could that be the decider, as he can't find where RAISY is? He's on the mid ground. He knows where he is now. He hears the rocket. He's going in aggressive now. The flame strike comes out, and look at the damage.
Potentially heartbreaking here. 12 seconds, and Base just needs this frag. He's got to figure it out. There's the fake rocket jump. Rocket jumps up to the heavy machine gun, but doesn't make it in 5 seconds.
Painful.
Oh, and RAISY is going to run away with this one. Another map with just a 1 frag lead, but RAISY puts that one in the pocket. And wow, that one was a close one, Dan.
There was a few Sika-Pliat moments at the end there where he just couldn't make the distance, and I have to credit Base. Like I said, the pressure from RAISY for the first 6 minutes or so was insane. But Base found a way to stay in the game, and that's why it was as close as it was. And in all honesty, he really should have converted. There was some interesting defensive tactics coming out from RAISY, where he was very difficult to read, but Base was finding it in. He just couldn't convert, and then right at the end, whether it was pressure, whether it was sloppiness, whatever it is, he was making his own mistakes that cost him the game.
That just pummel into LG. Just, I don't care what you say, Dan. Tactical, absolutely tactical.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I mean, to start the game the way that Base did, and he just didn't have rockets for so long, he didn't have really any weaponry, and to still, as you said, keep it this close, really is a testament to how well he was playing and moving around the map eventually. But RAISY, again, doing RAISY things, the unorthodox kind of defense, and then when it all goes downhill, Flame Strike in a corridor, you're not going to get through that, even with a totem. So RAISY kind of playing to the advantages of the champions, doing exactly what he needed to do, and still just barely scraping by. So Base knocking on the door 2 maps in a row. Can he take the third? I mean, technically, RAISY wraps this one up. Again, best of 3, but we play all 3 maps. And we're going to go to Awoken, and it's going to be Athena and Nyx. And do you think Base has what it takes to kind of put himself over on this third map?
I do. I think, well, we've seen 2 maps where it's 2-0 to RAISY, but, you know, there's a 1 frag difference per map. It could have gone either way. I mean, I felt Base probably played better, particularly on this map, and should have taken this map. And he has a great Athena. The RAISY Nyx is definitely good, but an Athena play to the highest level will definitely take the Nyx and should take the Nyx. So the question is, can Base execute at that level again? If he can, he will take this map. Otherwise, we'll have to see. I think RAISY's playing some good Quake, and you know, the Death Knight pick on the last map was perfect. We said the Flame Strike utility wasn't optimized, but just the threat of it was keeping Base at bay. And then there was that one huge Flame Strike right at the end that completely obliterated the stack of the Death Knight. I'm sorry, of the Galena. So I think Base can take this. Whether he will is obviously another question.
We'll see. We'll see. It'll be an interesting game. Hopefully Base is still in the right headspace after those 2 admittedly heartbreaking losses, but he knows he's close. I think he knows that he could take this one again. Playing a lot of Athena. We've seen him be very, very versatile on this one, especially on Awoken. I think it's going to be fantastic. But RAISY starting off with a hat trick would be pretty nice to this season, Dan.
It would reflect the RAISY of old, but definitely not as commanding as we've seen in the past. And it was some good play throughout, but there is definitely elements of rustiness that we can see creeping into his play at times. So whether that continues throughout, we'll have to see. But it's been a great series to start us here in Season 3.
What a way to kick it off, indeed. Are we going to see another pummel here? Is taking a look at the predictions, 60% for RAISY. So no love for Base, but we'll see. Maybe Base can provide all the love he needs to push him over the edge on this one. Map number 3, Base versus RAISY to close out this series. We're going to start off on Base, and he's going to get that railgun right off the bat with that Athena making his way back. Almost gets some damage, question mark. Just barely missing out on that open window.
Cheeky rails off the spawn, none of the connecting, doesn't matter. RAISY though does have a stack advantage though, but Base has the right weaponry and position, so he's going to feel more than happy over here. Up on corridor, also the Ghost Walk coming out very early to prevent damage, but he goes aggressive with it. Base realizing that not enough done, and RAISY tries to go in aggressive. 2 rails to come out. Will he just take away the heavy? He does, and the rail is critical. But there's no Ghost Walk, so he has to find a way in here. And here we go with the machine gun. It doesn't take much.
And I was going to say, that was best case scenario, knowing that RAISY literally backed himself into a corner, didn't have Ghost Walk, hitting the rail, stealing the item. It's best case, and he makes it work, almost connecting with another rail, as RAISY needs to be careful. Still no Ghost Walk! Why do you need a Ghost Walk when you can hit a hundo? What a rocket!
God,
wow, RAISY.
Get out of here. That was such a random ass play. But Base going in aggressive once again. And this is one of the problems I was going to talk about in the intro, is we have seen it in the past, is that Base could be a little bit too enthusiastic with the Athena at times. RAISY's making it pay. Been clinical to start this game.
It's just RAISY things, man. As he drops down, almost gets a big pop rocket. Good misdirection there with that grapple. To not commit to the jump pad and get away for the time being. A little bit of LG here. RAISY just chasing like the Terminator. LG on LG. Can he melt him down? Has to use Ghost Walk. But we're seeing a fearless RAISY, and that's always scary. Takes a rail to the face, almost hits one on the way out, and this one should be a frag, and it is for Base.
Yeah, it's finding that balance, as with anything, finding that balance. Perhaps that time was a little bit too much. And there's another big rocket to the face. People just love smacking the big rockets on these little models. And Base does manage to tie it up. There's 3 seconds before it. Of course, why wouldn't RAISY come charging in with a shotgun? Why wouldn't he do that? Could somebody...
Base was ready for it.
Yes, RAISY needs to unwind W just for a moment, I think. And he's going to continue with the pressure here. The Ghost Walk comes out once again. He is not sparing that ability at all. This is already a bloodbath.
Absolutely, as he makes the nice jump up, and the LG almost catches off base a little bit here, but he does correct and smacks down RAISY a bit. And RAISY's in a bad way here. A little too early for the heavy. He has to get out of there. And okay, base luckily had another grapple, flying a little bit too close to the sun on that one, Dan. What a play! What kind of hook was that? That's incredible!
Literally Jumanji.
Sure. As base looking to get this frag, should be easy here as RAISY does make it up the jump pad, grab for 25, but the hook, the rail won't be able to do anything as base can fall back on this mega, and this is the momentum that base really wants.
He's timing these approaches really well. I think RAISY's now regretting some of his decisions to be so aggressive, but those pushes just before the major item spawn, actually base has been doing really well all series long. This time now we have to see RAISY check the tempo of the game, and that's exactly what he's doing. He realizes pressure hasn't been sustained. He knows now base has stack advantage. He tries to go aggressive here, and base is getting stuck between a rock and a hard place, eating rockets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
That was very unfortunate, and that rocket's going to be even more unfortunate, but the rail will keep him alive. Can he hit one more? RAISY, does he want to tempt fate? He does! Baits it out somehow, and LG's him into the corner. RAISY is just fearless, Dan.
I mean, I don't think base expects some of these maneuvers. It's just catching him off guard. And the big mistake, the double back from RAISY through the Ghost Walk to get the conversion frag to just before tying it up. That was the key. And now base has to find a way back into this game. He's taken a strong early position now, so he will get that mega. And with a lot of time now before the heavy, base can put some pressure onto RAISY to try and get a double pickup.
Walk in play here for RAISY. As he almost gets clipped by that rail from base here. Heavy is going to be up. Base is going to slowly make his way towards while trying to control middle and maybe get some damage. RAISY just keeping the high ground for now. Trying to play off sound and wait for that mega. Does hear the hook. Does hit a little bit of rocket damage as base goes flying across towards the banana now. But all in all, it's a mega pickup for base. So the stack looking pretty good here. And that rocket, not bad at all. RAISY should pop Ghost Walk here soon, but he's hanging on. 54 HP, and there comes base. The grappling hook speeding in, taking that frag and taking the lead in.
Absolutely. Great read from base as well. Realizing that RAISY wouldn't go for that rocket, so the double back around is absolutely superb. But base is saying, well, if you can go aggressive, I can meet fire with fire. And he did take a big shotgun to the face, but that miss rail will spell the end of RAISY. Does a lick of damage with the rocket, but not enough. It's just before the mega, but there you go. RAISY gets the perfect spawn, steals it away, and he's sticking around with that machine gun, but he's done a lot of damage.
Not bad at all, and you saw RAISY a little bit trying to use it mid-fight there, but had to be very careful because he knew he'd get melted, but doesn't make it work. Base up by 3, starting to gain a little bit of momentum here as the Rails exchange will miss. Base will grab the heavy, and he's got 3 grapples in his pocket again, Dan, for traversing the map at his leisure.
And we're getting to that point now where base is building a fairly significant lead for a base, in so much that he can at any given time just turn on that defensive mode, and it'll be very hard for the Knicks to form a comeback. He'll have to be using that Ghost Walk extremely competently because the speed of Athena and the mobility of Athena is just too great. And we might even be seeing that now as base is playing a little bit more reserved than we saw in the opening 5 minutes. And RAISY will have to check himself, yeah.
Yeah, RAISY with the chase there, not getting the frag that he wanted, but very, very close. There's a rocket makes the difference and makes him skirt off here. Another rocket as RAISY tries to wall jump over. It still takes some damage, and now the positioning on this heavy. Nice little jump from base. Should get free damage here. Pops him up. LG, even with the rail on the way out, 10 HP for base and a heavy. Hanging by a thread, Dan.
And you can see RAISY getting slightly desperate there. He knows he's done a lot of damage as well, so he's going to come in aggressively. And how are we hitting so many full rockets? It's insane, and that does stall the aggression of RAISY. He's coming again. He's only got the machine gun. It's just not enough. You can hear it peppering away, but it's like an airsoft. Not really doing anything.
3 minutes left, and you're right, RAISY just won't stop coming. He needs to get a frag to at least open the potential up for a comeback. But Base, so versatile with the hooks, he can just jump around the map. You can see him start conceding items and just keeping distance and doing fantastic damage, Dan.
Yeah. Such a great angle, and Base is playing clinical now. He knows he's got more than enough of a lead to see out this game and just doesn't want to make any big mistakes. As I say that, he senses an opportunity but doesn't execute, so he will get out, counting his blessings to get out of there with his life. RAISY's Ghost walk back up, and it has to be popped once again, and that will mean he needs to retreat. Base, though, doubling back. He knows he can hit this rail, but RAISY predicting that. Great awareness from the Maestro player. Base coming flying in. RAISY's already early, and he has to make this risk. He's not going to work out, and it really looks like it's going to be good games to Base here at 40.
Solid play from Base. He's just got to do it for 2 more minutes, and it does look like, in fact, he will ruin the hat trick attempt as 2 big rockets around the corner. RAISY doesn't really have a choice. He just has to chase. Maybe not that blatantly, but it doesn't matter as Base is more than willing to just rack up these frags to really secure the victory. There's the hook up. A little bit of pummel action? No, a little bit of LG instead. 13-5. So fantastic play from Base here.
Couple pummels out, and obviously RAISY has thrown in the towel here with a minute and a half to go. Slightly frustrated, I guess. Again, it comes back to that balance of the aggression. And if you saw the adjustment from Base, once he had built that slight lead that he needed to feel comfortable, and as soon as he reverts to type, as I said, going up at Base Athena is incredibly scary, and it didn't work out for RAISY on this particular map. But this is slightly different. I feel in the last couple of stages we've seen RAISY move away from his more traditional aggression, and it seems to be coming back this season. So I don't know if that's a sign of things to come, because if it is, it's fun to watch, and he needs to find that balance. But this was a great series nevertheless.
Great series indeed. We're ready to kick off Season 3 here as Base is just adding to the body count, because why not? When you go back into the website and you look at these stats, you're going to be like, what in the hell happened on Awoken?
Yeah. I mean, there is a time and a place where I think we should maybe allow a GG if it's in the case, but there you go. It's just going to...
There's no way out, Dan. Once you're in the arena, you're locked for 10 or more minutes, and that's the way it is. I mean, right. I know nothing about the UFC. I imagine that's similar to how it is. As a base
if you literally kill someone, they can't get out. Is that what
I don't know. Are those the rules, Dan? I try not to watch those sports. They hurt my head. Why are they fighting all the time?
I hope frag difference isn't the thing, because otherwise RAISY's going to be in for a bit of trouble later this season.
You might. And he's just making it worse, but that'll be it. Finally, somebody threw in the towel. 23-4 is going to be the final score here, as a bit of a blowout there from Base. It was obviously a little bit closer, but Base able to keep his head in the game, take at least map number 3, but RAISY wins out on the set with the first 2 very, very close games. Fantastic set to start the season. And what do you say? I mean, it hasn't been said already. Insomnia's in the pool. Fantastic to see, but in terms of this last one on Awoken, it was just... Base doing Base things, even though RAISY was just serving up these rockets. Base found a way to overcome that and just get at least 1 map on the board today.
Yeah, Base showed us why he's such a highly respected player in both maps, well, every single map, should I say. You know, the way in which he managed the pressure of RAISY. I feel there were some more clinical errors, particularly on map 1. Map 2, he just couldn't find a way to finish off RAISY. Some good defensive play towards the end, and then this map, he managed to stabilize off of a rocky start. And as soon as he had that lead, he had that buffer, he reverted to type, and RAISY just put on too much pressure and too much aggression. Slightly uncharacteristic to have that level of lack of composure, and Base fully deserved it, and it could have been a 2-1 Base on another day.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we see RAISY with the plus forward a lot, but he's usually, as you said, better at reeling it in and kind of calculating it. But this was just, you know what, pedal to the floor. I'm going to see what happens if I hit my shots. Great. And he did hit a lot of shots, but we saw Base survive with 10, 15 HP, able to string those together, grab the items, and just pull away with it after maybe a little bit of frustration from RAISY. But 23-4 is indeed the final score on Awoken. But overall, RAISY takes it 2-1 over Base, so big shouts to RAISY. Solid start to the season. Base, great performance. I mean, losing the first 2 maps by 1 frag, again, heartbreaking, but it's testament to how good Base is, and it could have gone either way based on 1 or 2 decisions.
Absolutely. And I'm sure he'll be happy enough. I think he'll be a little bit frustrated, particularly on Vale, because of those sloppy mechanical mistakes towards the end of the map that potentially cost him that. But nevertheless, we're going to have some wacky encounters, at least for this week, as players begin to find their rhythm, try and get back into the groove of things. We've got a new map pool now, even though they would have practiced it. It's a completely different ballgame when you move into this environment. So I'm sure we're in for some chaotic encounters for at least the first couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And speaking of chaotic, we got Nosfasparty coming up. Again, we're worldwide now, round robin. But first, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back. It's good to be back, but we will see you in a short bit with Nosfasparty.